I'm Nina.
Hi, I'm Aoife.
This is my father's house, and you're welcome to my room. Think of this as a corner where we share our thoughts, opinions, ask questions, and review the messages from our Teens and Gin Sundays, and most importantly, tie that back to our realities as youth living in this wonderful world. So let's get started.
Yay!
How have you been so far?
I've been good. I didn't forget the little assignment we gave ourselves last podcast.
Yes. And the last episode, we said that we're going to discuss how we've been bringing God into the little things in our lives. So how has that been going for you?
It's been going interesting. You know, I had an opportunity. I had a little scenario, a little breakdown in the system.
Please share with us.
I won't go into too much detail, but you know, I found myself in that moment where I was like, everything's going to, and then I started crying like I always do. And I was like, I think I was about to go eat. And then I was like, wait, we talked about this last podcast. I was like, God, this is what's going on. I trust you. But then I still went through that cycle, I still did my
cry, eat, sleep.
My cry, eat, sleep. I didn't get to this. I was like, cry, eat, sleep. And I was like, wait, God. So
that's good. Progress. You're like, okay, so out of the 3, you did 2 and then you put God there. So maybe next time it will be 1 and then you put God, and before you know, God is number 1.
I'll cry first then.
And then you can cry while talking to God. That's a good part.
Yeah, that's good. What about you?
I think the thing for me was I had like mini breakdowns here and there, and like each moment I realized I'm supposed to be trusting God, but then in the moment I'm like, no, but like I'm so overwhelmed with like work and other things, like, and then my mind, like, my voice is telling me in my head, like, this is the perfect opportunity to like bring God into this. I'm like, okay, fine.
I hear you, girl.
So I guess I did it in hindsight. So like after I went through my whole thing, I was like, God, I know I should have brought you into this. I'm sorry. Can you help me now though? And I mean, it's a process, right? It's not something you get done on the first try. But the good part of this is we're going to keep trying.
Yes, we are.
We're going to keep being intentional about bringing God into the little things of our lives, no matter how difficult it is. Because, I mean, it's very difficult breaking that habit.
That's it. It's a habit,
Yeah, it's a habit. But enough about our last episode. Let's dive into this month's Tunes and Gins.
This month was juicy, right?
The topic for this month. At some point, I was like, Anu is definitely talking about me. She should just say my name at this point. Like, I'm the chief procrastinator. Like, she should just say, Nina, I see what you're doing. Do better.
I like love it, and I also like hate it when those when the message comes and it like pricks you, it's like pinching you, and you're like, okay, I hear what you're saying, God, thanks.
Yeah, it's like, okay, God, like, reduce your volume. Okay, I hear you loud and clear. Okay, but what was your major takeaway?
No. Okay, so I'm someone who procrastination is like my middle name. Like, I'm like a competitive procrastinator. Like, I feel like I can't exaggerate how much I do it, and it's such a part of me that, like, I know that you're supposed to plan. I know you're supposed to prioritize. Will I plan? Will I prioritize?
No. Okay.
So that was me before last message, but I really appreciated the like no nonsense way Anu just delivered it. She was like, "You have a problem. Stop."
She didn't even butter us up. Like,
no, very direct and harsh, but very, very necessary. So the one thing I realized was that a lot of the reason why I was procrastinating is due to, she talked about how we shouldn't base things on our feelings. So I'm like, I don't feel like studying. I don't feel like, and she talked about how like feelings come and go, right?
Yeah.
So I can't base my whole education on, I don't feel like studying right now. So that was like a nice slap to my head. And I was like, girlfriend.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because I think the whole message was a takeaway for me. Like, I mean, unlike you, I actually write down my to-do list. I have an idea of what I'm supposed to do. I organize everything, and then I look at it and I'm like, the vibes are off. So I'm not gonna do this. Like, can we do this some other time? And I know talked about how like doing that is the proud assumption that God owes you a second chance. Is that how she put it?
The arrogant assumption.
It's the arrogant assumption, yes. And I'm just like, damn. Yes, I have been assuming all this while that because the vibes are off right now, I get to get another chance later to do what I was supposed to do before. And yes, I've been basing my work, my to-do in general on how I'm feeling. Like if I'm feeling sad, I'm definitely not gonna like bang out my to-do list. Yeah. That's not happening. I'm just gonna go sleep. That's it. I'm gonna procrastinate. And I think for me, my major takeaway was realizing that feelings, like you said, feelings can come and go, but guess what? That task that you're putting off is gonna be there.
It's gonna be there waiting for you.
And worse, it's gonna pile up. And now you have zero time to do what you need to do, and now you're pressed.
And then you're like, God help me.
And then you're like, oh, and then okay, well, no, wait, before God help you, you have a mini breakdown first. Remember, you cry, you sleep, and then you're like, oh, I forgot. God, come in. And so all this to say that just do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing we can say. Just do it. And I think Chidi did a good job as well talking about excuses. The funny thing is that making excuses leads to procrastinating. Procrastinating leads to making more excuses. That like, it's a cycle.
Everything's a cycle. Yeah. I'm like a hamster in that cycle right now.
And for people that have busy lives, for people that have deadlines, we shouldn't be in this cycle.
No.
You can definitely agree with me. You have papers due. You have work due. You have church things due. You have friends. Like, you have things to do. It's not like we're kids where we don't have things to do. We have things to do. So how come we are still procrastinating and making more excuses?
I feel like, for me at least, when there's no real consequence, it's easier to procrastinate. Like, let's say I have to, I don't know, wash the dishes. I have to get started on my paper. I have to, like, who's going to come and like beat me for not doing it, So maybe because there's no like severe consequence inside, it's almost like whatever, I can get away with not doing it.
You're actually so right. Like, I think something for us as young adults is, so you leave that phase where you're a kid, people are telling you what to do, and the consequences, your parents will beat you, your teacher will beat you. Now you're in university, you're done university, you're working. It's like, I mean, they won't beat you, but I mean the consequences are there. You are building a reputation for yourself, whether it's in school or it's at work. And I agree with you. Like, I also have the same thing when it's like, if I have to do something and there's nothing that's going to happen if I don't do it, best believe I'm not going to do it. Especially if it's not easy, like, especially if it takes work. Like, I'm going to put it off till the last possible minute. And then we'll be like, oh, I work so well under pressure. No, you don't. You're lying. No, you don't. Everybody would like to rest. Nobody wants to like be pulling all-nighters, catching up on work.
At 3 a.m. writing my essay. Pressure. Nice. No.
So like, I guess the real question, and I know gave us like some practical tips that could help us, have a to-do list. Like the Bible says, write it down, make it plain, so that the person that sees it will run with it. So that you that's seeing it will run with it. I mean, and in my case, I do that. If I had to have a little whiteboard where I like list out things, step, and at the end of the day, I look at it, it's looking at me, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I guess we got to try tomorrow then.
Yeah.
I mean, if it didn't work today, like, how do I stop doing that?
I don't know. Like what you said, I think I'm just going to do it tomorrow. I think that goes back to the whole arrogant assumption that there will be a tomorrow. So maybe if we're conscious of the fact that, or like if we try to live every day like it's our last, if we try to, maybe that'll help. I feel like I'm not qualified to give advice on how to stop procrastinating, because I'm here. I'm in the helpline as well. I need help.
Yes.
I need help as well.
We need help. So maybe this is what we're gonna do. Let us know what you think. Maybe Anu should send us extra tips, because I mean, I am doing some of the things she listed. Are you doing some of the things she listed?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I know, how about this? Why don't you send us some extra help, and then we can definitely share it with you guys on our next episode. But I did have another question that I wanted to ask you, Feb. So, when Chidi was talking about priorities?
Yes.
And how God should be our priority. And he mentioned that if there are any competing priorities, those things are idols.
Yeah. Oh.
And if we're paying attention to those things over God, then we're basically committing idolatry.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold up. No, I'm not worshiping an idol. Like, what do you mean? But then, like, when I thought about it, really, it made sense.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, like, the minimum one things that I put ahead of God in my day-to-day life. Whether it's, I wake up at, like, 7 a.m., I gotta go shower. Like, I have this meeting at 9. I gotta make breakfast.
Yeah.
I gotta exercise for a bit.
Same.
All those things obviously are coming before God. You see how I did mention God in all those things? So, like, in that sense, I am sinning.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my God.
I feel like we like to think about idolatry as, like, juju and, like, like, in that, like, I'm bowing down to, like, a stone, but it's not. Like, he said that, like, our excuses reveals, like, our idols and stuff. And I was just thinking, I was like, why can I wake up in the morning at 7 a.m. and go on Instagram, but I can't wake up at 7 a.m. You know what I mean? And, like, read my Bible, Like,
listen, if you want to drag me on this podcast, why don't you just do that?
I'm dragging myself too. It's just down.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So
how can we? Because like he also said sometimes there are positive excuses. I mean, we just talked about procrastination. So if my excuse in the morning is that I have to do my tasks, then are you saying I should put them aside and focus on God? Wouldn't that be procrastinating?
No, ma'am. Because I feel like you're trying to, like, if anybody thinks like that, they're trying to like catch or, like, find a loophole to, like, sneak out of. Because if you had started that task earlier on, you wouldn't have to do it that morning, and you'd be able to spare 10 minutes to talk. You know what I mean?
Oh,
it's like we're not smart. We're
not smart.
God knows what we're doing.
I was trying to be smart for a second, but then you're right. I think, and also, like, he did say to prioritize. So yes, you have to get to work at 9. You have to turn in this assignment at this time. If you're prioritized properly, God wouldn't have to compete with these other things for your time.
Yeah, that's it.
So it all comes down to it.
It's because we, like, limit our time. So like you said, we're like, God has to, like, compete with with the other stuff that's eating up our time. I wish there was more than 24 hours in a day, but I know that would I be doing anything productive in those extra hours?
No. You know what I realized? Like, I'm always like, every weekend I'm like, I wish the weekend was longer. But then when we get long weekends, I wish the weekend was longer. And it just goes back to your point of, like, you wish we had more than 24 hours. But then even if we had 48 hours in a day, we'd still wish for more. Yeah. Because let's face it, we're not actually doing the things that we're supposed to be doing during that time we're given, because we have the arrogant assumption that God owes us more time.
I think it's just this sense of entitlement. And speaking of entitlement, Chidi mentioned how, like, and he was talking about why we feel like we can make excuses, and he was talking about how familiarity breeds content, and he gave that beautiful analogy about the prime minister and his children versus the prime minister and, like, common people. And I was like, stop shaking this door. Yeah. It's like just this sense of entitlement that we feel, and as some, I think we both grew up in the church, right? We did. Like, from a young age.
Yes, we did.
Every Sunday you're going to church.
It's a date with the Lord.
You're going sometime during the week. You have some kind of Bible study. Like, church or, like, Christianity, it becomes, like, almost familiar in a way, and then it becomes almost like going to church and all that stuff. It becomes like a routine.
Yes.
It's like, and it becomes, like, almost mindless. Like, you're just going through the motions. You're not really like present. You're just okay, time to wake up. Oh, Sunday church. Okay, go to, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, I'm just like, it has become a routine. Like, doing the things of God has become a routine, and now it has become as important or not as important as our other routines.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try to explain that better. Like, so we have general routines in our day-to-day, right? Go to work, go to school, go to drop your kids somewhere, like general routines. But then when going to church or talking to God or building a relationship with God becomes a routine, then it comes to the level of those other routines.
Yeah.
So now, even if you were doing a priority, they're on the same level.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, I'd pick one. I'll pick the easiest out of that and just shuffle it around until it suits my mood.
Yeah.
And then yes, God is taking the back seat. And then you see how these other things are coming to the front.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's how we end up not putting God first.
That's it.
So, I mean, we've talked about the positive things so far that we idolize: work, school, family, life, friends. What about the negative things? What are some negative things that we idolize?
People? Is that negative? Is idolizing
the people that God created?
Okay, let me maybe. Oh, or maybe when we idolize certain lifestyles that don't necessarily give glory to God.
Okay, I see where you're going with that.
Okay.
Give me an example though.
Like, like I feel like the lifestyle that we see portrayed in like rap songs, and let me not come for the hip hop community. Okay. But like the lifestyle that we see portrayed in like in social media, like that. Live life, get money, YOLO, party hard,
work hard, play hard.
Yeah, like that harder. Lifestyle. I feel like
those are negative things. You think?
That I think it is negative. Like it's like stuff that adds no, like let's say for work, family, school, all that stuff. It's adding like
value.
Value. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to. Maybe I'm too innocent for this.
Oh my God, you said no. Stop.
What do you think?
I mean, I think social media will be a big thing that we generally idolize, but social media is vague because social media could also be your work.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not all bad.
And it's not all bad, but I think when we start to focus on certain things, like for example, let me say, like, you know how you said when you wake up in the morning, you pick up Instagram, right? You open Instagram. And then you're on Instagram, but then it's not like you're like doing anything positive. Like you're just like, I don't know.
You're just like mindlessly scrolling.
You're just mindlessly scrolling, or you're obsessing over your followers. You know, it's like, oh, I gotta get to 1,000 followers. Oh, I gotta get to this. Or you're on Twitter and you're just like trolling people.
Yes.
You know, that's just negative. And then you thrive on things like that. So instead of studying your Bible, you're on Twitter like doing threads, and I'm just like, okay, don't you have things doing?
I do, but I don't want it. Okay.
Or
money is another bad thing, so I don't.
Hustling.
But like hustling isn't bad, but when it comes, like I think we all know like when money and hustling can be bad. It's like when that's the only thing, and when you're willing to go to like illegal means or like extreme lengths to get that money, like chill.
Okay, well, yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I think we should all chill. The rate at which we worship hustling in this day and age is too much. Like look at us, we're all burnt out, but we're still hustling. Like we're all tired, but you're still like, I gotta make that paper. I think at some point when it starts having like a negative effect on you, and your health, on your mental state, that's a negative thing at that point. Then it becomes negative. And
I think also when you ask yourself, why am I trying to get this money to like buy stuff to impress?
I want to be better than my friends, okay?
So like motive,
Yeah. So I think anything. So I guess the point here is that anything can be positive or negative. You just gotta check your motive behind it. But in this situation, whether it's positive or negative, it shouldn't compete with God for number one. You know,
for sure.
So it's important to note that. I just thought it would be cool to note that out. Did you have any other questions, Ifa?
No.
Okay. I mean, I think we're in a great place right now to sort of wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so. too.
What are you taking in your back pocket this month?
You know how last month we were like, we will practice trusting in God,
Mm-hmm.
and we both like had opportunities to like we had like we were presented with chances. So let's say this month I'll work on, because I feel like my little pitfall is procrastination, and that I don't feel like doing it. So I'm gonna work on getting rid of my I don't feel like doing it mentality, or even when I do feel that way, still like working despite that. And I'm sure I'll have lots of opportunity to practice that this month, and hopefully I'll do better than I did last time. You know? Am I being
Hopefully,
optimistic?
I'm actually rooting for you. Ife. I
Thank you.
think this is your opportunity to shine. For me, I think. Well, I mean, you said you're trying to get rid of that feeling of not wanting to do it. I don't think you can necessarily get rid of it.
Okay.
I think you should just do it in spite of.
Got it.
I think. Well, that's just my 2 cents. I don't know. Let us know if you think that I'm giving good advice here, because I'm not really great at this advice thing. But for me, what I'm taking away, or what I'm working on, what I'll be working on, is my priorities. Like realizing that even though there is no immediate consequence right now, that there is a consequence for everything I choose to do and choose to not do. And if I'm making God take the back seat and putting all these things ahead of him, maybe God is not coming down to flog me right now, but eventually there's gonna be a consequence to that. You know, and it doesn't have to be something big. The consequence would just be like my relationship with him, it would not grow. It would be stagnant, or worse, it would deteriorate. You know? So realizing that I can do better with my priorities and working on that to avoid excuses and hopefully stop procrastinating.
I believe in you too.
Thank you. And I hope you guys will be working on things too. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you're working on. We want to know how it goes for you. Did it work? Did it not work? How did it work? What did you do to make sure that you were no longer making excuses and no longer procrastinating?
And Anu, remember we called you out.
Yes, Anu, we want to hear from you specifically. Well, thank you guys for listening to today's episode, and we'd hope to see you in our next episode. Remember, this is my Father's house, and there's room for you too.
Bye.
Bye, guys.